Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Lawler again. We're back with European RLCS rosters for 2025. As always, if you want to find out these are at the bottom of my RLCS roster document, which you can find in the description down below. With that said, let's jump in. I'm going to show you guys every single roster right out of the gate that we have. There's a lot that we still have to fill in for our top 16. Who knows what's going to happen with these young guns and some of the other rosters that are being built. But as of right now, this is where we're at. Starting with the top and going down to the bottom, we've got Team Vitality. Yes, we have a new crazy team. We just saw France go and compete at the FIFA E World Cup with a different roster that looked pretty dang good. But honestly, I think it looks even better because of the way that the synergies work out. But you've got Zen being built around, and they're bringing in Monkey Moon and Exotic. Pretty nasty team, if I'm being completely candid with you guys. That team is going to do wonders. I'm excited to watch these two together. If you've watched them play in twos, it is kind of like a cheat code. It's almost unfair. I'm very excited to see a confident Monkey Moon dominate the midfield because he knows he's got Zen behind him and he never has to worry about defense. I'm very, very excited to see that. I think we could see a 3-time world champion Monkey Moon. I would not be surprised by that. Again, pretty exciting stuff seeing when these guys come over from their previous rosters. No BDS right now, but there is rumors of BDS potentially picking up another team. We'll see who they end up getting. There is also a catalyst around Dignitas. We'll talk about them in a sec. As for K Corp, Vatira and Atao, they are dropping one in bringing in Drali. World Championship, talented player, probably my rookie of the year last year. Very excited to see this team perform. I think there is so much talent. I think it's being overshadowed a little bit by the namesake of these two. I will honestly admit, Vatira has not impressed me to the world champion, best player in the world type personification that we have seen in the past. Chance to prove yourself. It's a new start. Very excited to see that one play out. Curious on what K-Corp's going to look like. We have seen them start very, very strong early and considered as many a favorite. But I think those two are battling for a top dog spot. I say that only as a in-between because I do think these two conversations are very interesting. For those that do not know, Gentlemates confirmed that they were going to build around Seiko during the offseason. And they could have went Seiko, keeping Itachi and bringing in Oski from former Oxygen, or you can take some of the leftovers and build with Juicy and go with Redosin from that former Team Vitality team. They decided to go the Juicy Redosin route. Now, many people go, hey, that's kind of weird. I think this player's better. I think this is a better opportunity. But what my assumption is when they did scrims and they tried out the different iterations, this one performed better, which is, I think, saying something. One, I think Juicy's heavily underrated. I think he's a very talented kid. I also think a lot of people will think Redosin is the first one that should have been kicked for that Vitality team. But Redosin is also a huge proponent in pushing forward their offense. He was disruptive. He did a lot of things when he was allowed to cook on the offensive half that made them a very solid and very aggressive team. So, again, many may count that short, but I do think this roster may surprise some. I think this team has still a lot of potential. Very interested to see what Gentlemates looks like. On the other side, not confirmed yet with Ninjas in Pajamas, but very likely to be signed. It's what the rumors have been in the offseason. I haven't heard anything else, so I'm pretty sure it's Ninjas in Pajamas. Itachi got to rebuild his team, and I think, in my selfish opinion, this is easily a top 3 team. If you guys aren't aware of how good this team is going to be, I don't know what you're sleeping on. Oski is still incredibly talented at the offensive capabilities that he provides. He just showcased this in a lot of offseason 2v2s where he has been dominant. Itachi is still, in my opinion, one of the best midfielders in the game. His 50-50 challenge game is unbelievable. He plays such a clean, polished, rotational play. Not to the same degree of Monkey Moon where it's preemptive, but like the guy is all reliable in that regard. And you're pairing what is, in my opinion, one of the most talented players coming into the space. M80 did this man dirty. Nas, as someone who's gotten to coach him, I got to coach him one-on-one. I got to coach him when he went to Paris Games Week. He's a special talent. His only flaw, in my opinion, is when the going gets tough, when they're up against the wall, he tries to play hero ball where he thinks he needs to do everything. If he can settle into his role and play his position and clean rotations and communicate effectively with the other two, he is going to leech so much experience off of these two. People forget Itachi's been competing since Season 3 of the RLCS, And the only reason he didn't get to play in the RLCS is because he was from an uneligible region. We also saw how good Morocco did. I don't know why I said good so weird there. Morocco just dominated and played extremely well with no experience other than a month together. I'm telling you, this team's going to be talented. Nas is so good. He's dominating the 1v1 salt mine right now, I'm pretty sure. So again, these three. This is probably my favorite team. I am so excited to watch this team. I'm telling you, they're going to be good. I think the top four in EU, pretty tough to argue against. Okay, those are your big four in EU. They look dominant. I expect to see them at every single major. In a tier below that, GK is rumored to be picking up the former Oxygen team, where they're getting rid of one and bringing in Oli. So you've got Archie and Joyo. Oli coming over from Jobless, was G1, then became Jobless, is now going to be picking them. The Oli Joris combination is splitting. So GK potentially a org that is based in Saudi in MENA. Nick, who's former M80, is going to be coaching that roster if that does end up happening. GK gave him a budget. That is what he wants to do. Up next, we don't know what's happening with the ex-Dignitas team. We do know that they wanted to rebuild around Stizzy. Evo, as we showed you, is out. Gyro is out. Stizzy and Jack have been pretty much a dedicated duo during the entire offseason. They locked in real quick and were like, this is dope. We like the situation. Who their third has been rotated a lot. A lot of people fighting for Nas. It is Joris. They are going with Jorias. I am excited to see this roster play. I've heard some very good things. I also really enjoy this team just as a whole. Violent Panda is a homie. I think this is a fun team. We don't know, and this is kind of the asterisk on them. We don't know if they're going to play in NA and EU. If they get signed to an org, they don't care what org. That is where they will play. But my assumption is they're going to play in EU. The only downfall playing in EU, I think it's very tough to get top four as compared to NA. I think NA's got two really strong teams, but then it's open for debate. That's nasty. I don't want to play against that. We'll see what happens. I think the 5 teams at the World Championship that EU is going to be sending because the last chance qualifiers is going to be pretty dang scary. So we'll see what happens with those guys. That's where they're at. Up next, we've got some weird situations. Originally, we saw with Tekos potentially playing with a couple different teams. He ended up settling with AJG, who's competing the World Tour. He has played in every single region except for now he's going to go do it over in Europe. So we got Tekos, AJG, and Dorito coming back as well. AJG, I think, got done kind of dirty by Complexity. Sure, the open net hurts, but it happens. People make mistakes. Same thing happened with Atomic, but you don't see Atomic getting kicked from G2. So I'm excited to see this team. I think Tekos is pretty underrated. I think he's been a difference maker in that like top 12 kind of mid-range level when he was playing last year. Maybe some experience around him will help flourish. I don't know if Dorito is still at the same level as once he was once respected. Most people, when they kind of get out of that upper echelon, tend to regress a little bit. Let's see if they can punch back. Gonna be interesting. Also, a lot of people have been wondering what's going on with Chronic. Chronic does have a new team. They're pairing with Matane, former of the Monkeys, and the different iterations that team has gone through with Smokes and Cash and Arju and whatever different iteration it's been. And they're pairing with a new French kid in Eugen, who has proven himself, in my opinion, during the offseason quite a bit. I think he's done a really good job. Very interested to see how this team plays out. Because the Chronic, I think a lot of people saw his impact when he came in with the Luna Galaxy team for temporary. And Matane's just kind of like a glue player. I don't think he excels in any one category, but when he is assertive, he does look a lot better. Very interested to see how this team plays out. I don't know where to quite put my finger on them, but I would expect them to be top 16. We then got Fast Forward, not an official organization, but Mike Boy Compact and EJBY sticking together. They did make a change here. I forget who they swapped in. I think it might be Compact is the new one for that, off the top of my head. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I think another middle of the pack team. They'll probably go like 1-3 in Swiss. Maybe they'll surprise and go to the 2-3 round, but that's about it. Cash no longer with Resolve, pairing up with Toxic and Smokes, who is former teammate of Matane, which was Endpoint. I'm pretty sure was the most recent roster. But yeah, Cash, Toxic, and Smokes pairing together. I think a lot of potential for them to play upset. But am I betting it all for them to win? No. I think these teams, a mixture of these teams, are going to find themselves in top 8, and then they're going to have to go up against the big bad EU dominant teams, and they're going to lose. that is kind of my assumption on how things are going to go. I will tell you guys more in a proper tier list if you guys want that on NADU, who I think is going to major, who we're going to see at World Championships, things like that way too soon. So let me know about that down below. I know there's a ton of like rosters we're missing. I don't know what's happening with Gyuk. I don't know what's happening with Mozzarella. I don't know what's happening with a lot of these up and coming players that are very talented and what they're going to solidify with. Maybe they take a risk and move forward in that regard. But again, there is some names that we aren't sure yet, and I'm not about to assume what they're going to end up pairing up with. So maybe some surprises. We talked about that underdog situation for North America of who that dark horse is going to be. We might find some surprises, and then who knows what happens during the transfer window and the trade window when we see some maybe up-and-comers get slotted in. Because the one thing I really appreciate about Europe is they don't mess around. No friendship, no ties, next man up. That's why they continue to win. And I don't foresee North America winning RLCS for a long time still. So we'll have to wait and see, man. I think these super teams in EU are absolutely cracked. And it's not going to change anytime soon. So that's what I've got. That's what I got for your RLCS rosters for Europe. There was obviously a lot of them missing, but we will find out more over the coming weeks. If you guys have any additional questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Also, ! RLCS rosters in my Twitch chat or in the description down below. There are a link to all the roster changes and all that kind of stuff and all the rumors. We should be solidifying these relatively close because we start in a week and a half. So we're going to know for sure in a little bit. Either way, that's going to do it for today's video. Any questions, comments, concerns, let me know as always. And we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.